You ever witness a moment so unexpected, so painfully honest, that it stops an entire room cold? Let me tell you about the day a billionaire, yes, a real one, walked into his own boardroom and found a young black girl sitting at the table swinging her feet, patiently waiting while her mom prepped for a job interview. And when he tried to make small talk, she looked straight into his eyes and asked a five-word question that shattered him from the inside out. Can you be my dad? Before we dive in, please subscribe for more stories like this, as it means the world to us, and comment your country so we know where our family's growing. Nobody expected the morning to unfold the way it did. Not the assistants, not the executives pacing around with their tablets, and definitely not the woman named Valerie, a hardworking black single mother who had shown up early for an interview she'd prayed over for weeks. She stood in the lobby holding a worn binder against her chest. Her palms were sweating, her heart beat too loud, but she refused to let fear drag her down. Beside her, her 8-year-old daughter, Lila, a bright, curious black girl with soft braids and big expressive eyes, tapped her feet on the polished floor like she was testing it for rhythm. She hummed a little tune, unbothered by her mother's anxiety. Valerie hadn't planned, at all, to bring her child. No black woman walks into a billionaire-owned corporation trying to look unprepared. But life doesn't care about appearances. The babysitter canceled last minute. Her cousin's car broke down, and catching another bus home meant missing the interview entirely. She tried calling the company to ask for a reschedule, but the assistant apologized politely. Ma'am, the CEO himself is overseeing today's interviews. After today, the window closes. So Valerie gathered her courage and her daughter, whispered a prayer under her breath, and walked in. The receptionist, a gentle older woman who understood more with one glance than most people do after a conversation, smiled warmly. She noticed the tension in Valerie's shoulders. She noticed the child. She noticed the situation without judgment. You can bring her in with you, she whispered softly. Let her sit in the conference room. Nobody's going to bite. Valerie exhaled in relief. Thank you. Truly. The conference room was massive, glass walls, clean lines, chairs that looked too luxurious to touch. Lila slipped into one, spinning it lightly, braids swinging, eyes wide like she'd just stepped into a spaceship. Valerie winced, embarrassed, but the receptionist gave her a reassuring pat before leaving. What nobody knew, not the receptionist, not the assistants, not Valerie, was that the interviewer wasn't some mid-level hiring manager. It was Elliot Rowan, the billionaire, the man who built half the skyline. And he was walking into this room carrying a heartbreak so heavy it bent his posture. People in the company whispered that he'd lost custody of his son after a brutal, quiet legal battle. Whispered that he barely slept. Whispered that he was smart, powerful, unstoppable, but losing his child had cracked him open in ways wealth couldn't fix. Which is why he arrived early, to breathe in the stillness before the performance of being Elliot Rowan, billionaire, began. But instead of silence, he found a little black girl spinning gently in his expensive leather chair. She stopped as soon as she saw him. Then she grinned. Hi, she chirped. Are you the shiny guy? Elliot blinked. The shiny guy? The man who owns all the shiny stuff, she clarified, waving around at the room. He let out a tiny laugh, something he hadn't done in months. I suppose I am. She nodded with authority. I'm Lila. Mom says everything here is fancy, even the water. But it tasted like regular water, just in a taller bottle. Elliot raised an eyebrow, charmed despite himself. Children had a way of slicing through pretense and ego like it wasn't even there. What brings you here, Lila? My mom's doing a job thing, she said matter-of-factly. She said I gotta be respectful and not spin too much. Before he could respond, the door opened again. Valerie froze in the doorway like she'd just walked backstage at the wrong moment. Mr. Rowan? She gasped. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, sir, my daughter. She didn't mean to. It's okay, he said, lifting a hand. She's been good company. Valerie's throat tightened. Black mothers carry a special kind of pressure to be perfect, composed, flawless in front of authority. And here she was, stepping into her biggest chance with her child already talking to the owner. I'm really sorry, sir, she whispered. No need, he said, his voice soft. Please, take a seat. The interview began, and Valerie tried, desperately, to keep her composure. She answered every question with calm intelligence, her voice steady, though Elliot could clearly see the tired nights hiding in her eyes. He noticed the slight tremor in her fingers, the protective glance she kept giving her daughter, the quiet resilience that wrapped around her like invisible armor. Halfway through, Lila gently walked over and slid her small hand into her mother's. She didn't say a word, just stood there, offering comfort with the pure innocence only children possess. Elliot watched the gesture, and something inside him cracked. He missed this. Not the meetings, not the billions, not the empire. He missed being a father. When the interview ended, Valerie thanked him with trembling gratitude, gathered her things, and nudged her daughter to follow. But Lila didn't move. She walked straight to the billionaire, tugged on his sleeve with her tiny hand, and asked it, "Can you be my dad?" The words exploded in the quiet. Valerie's soul dropped into her stomach. "Lila, you can't, sweetheart. He's not." "I'm so sorry, Mr. Rowan." "It's okay," he whispered. Then Elliot did something nobody expected. He knelt down, face to face with an 8-year-old black girl who somehow saw his broken heart clearer than any adult in his world. "I can't be your dad," he said softly, "but I can make sure your mom never has to worry again." Valerie choked on a breath. "I'm offering you the position," he said, standing. "Full salary, full benefits, daycare, flexibility, whatever you need." "Sir," Valerie whispered, tears spilling before she could stop them. "You don't even know if I'm the best candidate." "I know enough," he said. "I know strength when I see it. I know compassion, and I know your daughter is bold enough to speak truths most grown-ups swallow." He handed her his personal card, something he rarely did. "If anything threatens your stability, anything, call me." Valerie covered her mouth, sobbing silently. Lila hugged her waist, confused but happy. As they walked out, Elliot called out one more time, "Hey, Lila." She turned. "Thank you," he said softly, "for seeing me." Her smile was wide and innocent, the kind that could warm winter air. She gave a tiny wave and skipped out of the room. And when the door finally closed, Elliot sat in that empty conference room longer than any billionaire had reason to. Because for the first time in months, the ache in his chest didn't feel like a wound. It felt like healing. All because a little black girl asked him the question nobody else dared to.